Welcome to the Happiness Drive Success podcast, brought to you by Motivate Coaching, the multidiscipline practice for extraordinary people. Here, we discuss finding your happiness and how you can use it to drive your success. Please welcome your host, co-founder, CEO, and master of discovering happiness, Stuart Isham-Fairbairns.
Hello, wonderful, beautiful, happy people out there. How are we today on this spectacular, wonderful morning? I'm actually out on a walk this morning, as I do every morning. I thought I would share this wonderful environment with you. If you can hear the birds in the background, it's very nice. It's actually a bit of a cool morning here, which is a rarity. Yesterday I was having a meeting. I have a weekly session, a group of other professionals, and we get together weekly to discuss the week that's passed. We talk about our goals, we talk about how we can help each other, and it's a very effective way to keep motivated. And it's something that I highly recommend that everybody look at, the power of social groups in our lives. And I've spoken about this before. The power of social groups in our lives is wonderfully beneficial to us from a perspective of connection. And even though in the times of COVID connection is difficult, but doing it digitally with video, it is a form of connection that still allows for a semblance of the purpose of what we're looking for when we're looking for connection with, is that sort of sense of love and belonging. And within those sessions, as I say, we talk about good things that have happened, so like a win in the last week, and we have already discussed our overarching goals, so our big goals like for a year. So we're all aware of what one another is aiming to achieve, so we can kind of support each other. And we do a part of it, which is the we kind of ask questions to each other to sort of provoke thoughts and hear each other's perspectives. And then we do what we call the mastermind section, which is where if anyone has a problem or an issue, and then the others help out, and we kind of from their perspectives, and it can just give you various answers or perspectives on a potential issue that allow you to get past it. Now, for us, this is in the realm of our, it ranges everything from our personal lives all the way up to business, but it is highly effective in its output. So yesterday, one of the members, a very impressive coach who focuses on depression, is a chap called Gary Clinton. He's just recently launched a book on Amazon, which is actually number 1 on Amazon for Kindle, so I recommend you check that out, whether depression is a thing in your life or not. A fantastic read. And Gary asked a question of myself and Tom, who was on the call yesterday. Tom's another fantastic coach. His focus is on business and insight, and he also trains coaches to become coaches, and very sort of effective, powerful coaches. And Gary asked Tom, so what's your definition of success? And this was a great question, because again, success is so subjective, because your success is different to my success, and yet we're all informed by the external world of different things and definitions of success and what we should do. That word should, I don't know how many of us, certainly I do, get caught up by that word should. I'm a 38-year-old man right now, and I feel like I should have made it by now. I should be wealthy, I should have all of these things, and should is just such nonsense. It's could, it's can, and we all have the power to make things happen through the power of our thoughts and what we apply in our lives, as we've discussed before. But I, as you know, and I digress, so I'm going to get back to the point here. I've just got to find Harlow, who's disappeared into the bushes. Harlow, come! Okay, he's here. Good boy. So Gary asked Tom, what is your definition of success? And Tom gives his answer, which is it was a fantastic answer. But what I want to focus on here is, Gary then asked me, so Stuart, what's your definition of success? So I explained my definition of success, and they both looked at me smiling with slightly confused looks. And they both said, do you know what, Stuart, I think you should put together a podcast where I'm telling people your definition of success and start a bit of a conversation around it. So I'm going to explain to you now what I said as my definition of success. Now, success again is subjective, and I also believe that success can be, today I want to make it through the day and I want to be as positive as possible or as happy as possible, and try to move away negative thoughts, as an example. Or it could be, I want to be financially wealthy consistently, that I have the freedom to travel the world and do the things I want to do when I want to do them. So you get the idea of the sort of sliding scale of success. So for me, the first thought that comes into my head when I think about success is probably one that many of us will share, which is to be very wealthy and safely so, and to be able to just sort of free to do what I want when I want to do it. Possibly, travel, work whilst traveling, inspiring people around the world, speaking at events, but not having to do it for the money, doing it for the passion of it, for the joy of just sharing my learnings and the wisdom I've gained through my education and my consistent and continuous education in life and the books I read and the work that I do, to then share complex lessons, complex approaches, complex things in life, and break them down into not only understandable chunks but also ways to implement them into life, into your life. I find that often we focus so heavily on problems in this world, and we really need to actually focus on, what is it that you can do about it? What is it that we can do about it? Every person down to the smallest person, and rather than having to work that out yourself. There's always going to be an element of working it out yourself, and I think that's really important. I think that's why when we listen to books, when we are at university, when we're wherever we are, it's not a matter of walking in and the knowledge appears in your mind and you suddenly get it. You have to go through that process to live it, to experience it, touch it, feel it, and then it becomes solidified as a learning in your life, for most of us. So that's, for me, the kind of the first thought is, okay, cool, to be wealthy, to be doing all those wonderful things in the world. And if anything, the last 2 years, and certainly in 2020, I've spent a huge amount of time hiking in between working. Every morning I do a 2-hour hike with Harlow, and in that time I listen to audiobooks, I record podcasts, I record my notes, voice notes to myself when I have a thought that I want to explore further. I find talking it out really helps, which is often my podcast of these processes as well. If I'm honest with you, it's a way to share what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and bring you along on the journey with me. So the main thing that I said I want, that my definition of success is I want to get to the place where I can live as, and excuse the terminologies here and stick with me to the end, because it might sound like I'm going off on one, but I've already successfully done that in this podcast, so but stick with me here and see if you can make sense of what I'm saying here. And I really encourage sparking a conversation around this. So what I would like you to do after this is go to the Facebook page, which is it's called Your Happy Place. If you go to that Facebook page, I'll put this podcast up there. So some of you may have already come from there to find here, or whether you're through the website or YouTube or Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you're listening to this, is then go to Facebook page called Your Happy Place, and then just, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think about what it is that I'm discussing? So here it is. So I want to get to the place where I can live as the conscious. So there is a fantastic book called The Untethered Soul, which I recommend you listen to and experience. It's some heady stuff. It's some, really sort of big conversations about life and life experience, or the experience of life. And if you want to delve into that, then by all means. But a concept that's spoken about in there is that, which I've think is fantastic is that we as human beings, if you were to ask, who are you as a person? Now, so, you say, okay, cool, I'm Stuart. Okay, so Stuart, if you write down your name on a piece of paper, is that you on that piece of paper? No. So Stuart is not me. Stuart is a label that has been given to me for me to be recognised and or individualised or whichever. And then, okay, so another example is your arm, you. Well, yes, it's a part of me. So if I cut your arm off, which I'm not going to do, don't worry, and it was on the ground and point at it, is that you? No, it's not you. It used to be a part of you, but it's not you. So who are you? So it's a really great question. So what this goes back to is you are the conscious. So in life we have 3 experiences that we're experiencing all the time as human beings, which is the emotional, psychological, and the physical. So emotional, we all know what that is, our emotions, we feel them. Psychological, so this is our thoughts, and we all have between 40 and 60,000 thoughts a day. And then you've got the physical, so that is the physical world around us. That includes our body. So each of these we experience. We have emotional experiences, we experience our thoughts, and we have physical experiences. But we are none of those. They are just experiences that we experience. So who is experiencing these things? So then this is where you come to the conscious. So the conscious is who we are. So if we pick something up, we feel the texture of it in our hands. If we eat something, we taste it. If we run our hands against a wall, we feel the texture of the wall. When something happens, we feel the emotion. Something great happens, we feel elated, we feel joy. Something bad happens, we can feel sad. But you are not sad, you are experiencing sad. You are not happy, you're experiencing happy. So who is this? So it's the conscious. When you get to the stage of being able to get to the conscious, the way I like to kind of describe it is, imagine the conscious is a blank canvas. And then you've got the 3, emotional, physical, and psychological, are experiences that happen to that canvas, but they are not the canvas, they happen on top of it. So in order to, for me, a definition of success would be and understand that I am experiencing thoughts, emotions, and the physical world. To get to that place, what that looks like, I have had access to that place over the years, but I think it's a consistent pursuit. And there are many practices that I do on a daily basis to help me get to that place and feel that. But it's about when these, so I suppose the best way to describe it would be if a friend comes to you and they are sad. As an empath, you might feel their sadness, but you're not the one that's sad. But the point is that you're objective to it. So someone comes to you and they're sad and they need advice. You don't get as swept up by the sad feeling as they do in that moment, because you're not the one experiencing sadness. So it gives you that perspective to be able to support, to give advice, to give comfort, connection, kindness, all of these wonderful things that help us get past what it is that we're experiencing. Now, can you imagine getting to a place where you can have perspective on your thoughts and emotions and the physical world without allowing the emotions to completely knock you off your feet, without you to start a swirl of negative thought processes that then create powerful emotions, that then create powerful actions. Thoughts create emotions, and emotions create actions. So can you imagine being able to look at that from an outside perspective, or from a different perspective, and be able to look, okay, cool, an emotion comes up. Okay, so emotion, so what thought is tied to this? What physical associations are there? And to be able to look at it that way, much like you would comfort your friend, you can make sense of it yourself. Now, that's not to say that we won't need connection, we won't need other people, because we're not robots. But what it does do is it allows us to stop catastrophizing, turning thought processes into a whirlwind of just emotion and thoughts and actions that create more thoughts and emotions, actions, thoughts, and it can just become a negative cycle that we can just get caught in. Now, equally, that same power of which I imagine lots of you listening to this, maybe nodding your heads, going, oh, I know that place. If I was to say to you the same thing but with happiness, have you experienced that? Is it as innate in you to go like, oh yes, yes, yes? Probably not for most of us. You can probably think of a couple of times where it's been the case, where you've had this whirlwind of sort of avalanche picking up speed of happiness, getting more and more and more. But it's not going to be anywhere near as much as we have experienced in negative. But the most exciting thing is that power is absolutely there to go towards the happiness. It's the same power, it's the same energy, it's the same movement. It's just positive instead of negative, happy instead of sad. And we can control that. And it starts by being aware of our thoughts, because that's the first part of the process. Thoughts turn into emotions, which turns into action. And things like writing down affirmations, turning negative thoughts into positive thoughts. I have to be honest, for a large part of my life, I thought, it's just hard work and it feels like I'm just turning a blind eye. But the reality is, the world, our minds, our worlds, and how our mind works. I had a fantastic analogy this morning, is that our mind is like a field. Now, our mind is obviously a lot more complex than a field, but it has the same capability of abundance, in that whatever you plant in that field is what will grow, environmental circumstances willing. So if you plant corn, you'll get corn. If you plant nightshade, you'll get nightshade. So be aware of what it is that you're planting inside the field of your mind, if you will, follow my analogy. That analogy came from a great book called The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. Now, this was actually recommended to me by Gary after I had given my definition of success. So I also recommend to you, it was an aeroplane going past. I know you all know this, but I live in a small town in the middle of nowhere by the Kruger National Park, and there's a airstrip here. It's a lot like the movie Coming to America. Not Coming to America, that's Eddie Murphy. Out in Africa. Where it's like landing in the middle of nowhere. Not quite, it's tarmac, but the planes are tiny and it's lovely. And Harlow loves it. He's in a big dam at the moment. Anyway, I digress. So when it comes back to what is my definition of success, is I want to be able to have that ability to be aware of my emotional, physical and psychological experiences. Because from that place, I truly believe, without question, that from there anything is possible. So all other goals that I could possibly put out there, of which, if I'm honest, most of them come across as materialistic, which would be to be hugely and sustainably wealthy. The other goal that I explained a second ago. But I know that that's possible as I go on this journey to discover my conscious observer position, to then reflect on life. Now, that doesn't mean I lock myself into... There are many ways to do it, and lots of people go to a Buddhist retreat somewhere, and none of these are wrong. But for me, it's not that. I need to be continuously building and growing. I'm an ambitious man, and I like to see things moving forward. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy massively sharing what it is that I learn. Thus, I'm talking to you right now. I see the power in working together, in collaboration, in not reinventing the wheel. So that's why I spend my mornings listening to these fantastic books and learning of other people's incredible experiences and then sharing them with you. Because together, if we work together, we're going to get so much further. We're going to really learn from one another and be able to make what it is that we want to make in our lives, achieve what it is that we want to achieve in our lives. The book that I was just mentioning just now talks about that which you think about is what you get. And that's the sort of really simple and powerful lesson inside that book. That which you think about is what you get. I mean, that's huge. So when it comes to thinking replacing negative thoughts with positive ones, if you come from that place, it's like, well, yeah, of course I have to. Because if you think constantly negative thoughts, now, when we talk about this, I'm not saying protective thoughts, because, for example, if you're a mother or a father, a husband or wife, you have a strong connection with somebody, which hopefully everybody does, at least one person, then, you may feel fears about their safety or their well-being. That's perfectly natural and human, and that's something to actually be proud of, because that's actually quite a positive thing, and it reflects to you how you can look at that. So say, for example, you look at that's a negative thought of, I'm so panicked about George driving to wherever, to 300,000 kilometers away. And I hope, all sorts of scenarios running through your head, and how then to flip that to a positive thought is not to then replace it with sunshine and rainbows and go, everything's fine, la la la. It's rather that specific thought, take that specific thought, and if you need to, write it down. Or what I do is I do a voice note and I go for a walk and I talk it through if I need to. But I change it to, I'm so grateful that I have him in my life. I'm so grateful that we are both happy and healthy, and that we have the ability to go for this travel, and think about the reasons why he's going. If it's positive, if it's negative, if it's something sad, then again, it could be appreciation for, say, for example, someone has passed and he's going to a funeral. It is gratitude for that person's life, and gratitude for the fact that he can go and be there to support the family, etc. So that's what turning, or changing a negative thought to a positive one is. It's not about slapping a sticker over top of it and going, right, you're happy now. It's actually turning it around in that moment. And that's called gratitude. And it's about understanding and appreciating what we have in life and being thankful for it, despite the fact that we feel anxiety, fear, worry. Worry, we all do it. Oh, I'm the king of it. Believe me, when I was a kid, I was the worry king. And it's something that I have worked at for many years, and it's about understanding that worry doesn't help anything. If you know that you can fix the situation, why worry? If you know that you can't fix the situation, why worry? It is what it is. You can't change it. Worry is nothing but in your head, and the only person that's suffering from it is you. And is it creating any change, positive or otherwise? No. You can always do something about it, but don't worry. So, my definition of success. There it is. What do you think? So again, I go back to the sort of simple is that it's the observer, so the conscious, and then you've got the physical, the emotional, and the psychological. And I love this because it's not woo-woo, it's not magical or fairies. I love whimsy and magic. I think it's essential and important to us. But I like when I'm learning a lesson, when I want to understand something in the world, I need a level of tangibility to it. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be fully scientific and grounded in research, but I enjoy a collaboration of the two. And for me, I know for a fact that I have spent time in places in my mind where I have observed, and I can pull myself back and observe an emotion. I can be inside it, and I can feel like, you know what it's like, you're in the middle of a tornado, feeling this emotion. And that could be negative or positive. To stop for a second, and again, this is where the imagination can be very useful, especially when starting out, is to zoom yourself out of that tornado and see yourself in there. And look at it now, that version of you that's inside, or that depiction of you inside that tornado, is the emotion that you're feeling in that moment. It's not you, it's over there. If it's over there, how can it be you? So it gives you that opportunity to just observe from a different perspective. So it makes great sense to me. I felt emotions, I know I have thoughts, I can see the physical world around me and I can feel it. But therefore I know, and I also know that none of them are me, so then therefore there must be an entity which is experiencing and observing these things. And I find that hugely freeing. And it's not that you can just get there, that's why it's a goal, that's why it's success to me, because I'm on this journey to get there, and I think it takes huge amounts of honesty, integrity, exploring, openness, sharing, connection, kindness, compassion, practicing the base things that take us to our rawest needs as human beings, which is love and belonging. Sort of the top two things there that we need as human beings, which includes connection, gratitude, compassion, etc. and many other daily practices. Excellent. Well, I'm going to stop there. So it's great to have chatted with you all. Please do go to the Facebook page. Again, it's Your Happy Place, and I'll see you there. And let's have a chat. I'm there every day, so ask questions, get stuck in, and keep the conversation going. Ladies and gents, have a top banana day. Keep happy, keep striving. Have a check out of those thoughts. Cheers, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks so much for listening. If you're interested in learning more, go to the Motivate website at www.motivate-coaching.com. If you'd like to get in touch with Stuart directly, you can get him at Stuart, spelled Stuart, at motivate-coaching.com. Thanks so much for joining us, and remember, your happiness drives your success. See you next time, folks.